How have y'all delegated responsibilities and also holding each other accountable to those without stepping into the boundaries of micromanaging? Um, 'Cause that can be challenging.
Yeah, no, it absolutely can. And to answer the first part of your question, so when at the time that we met Brian, we had already had a foundation, right? We had already had a database that was growing. We had broker relations, vendor relations, in that database that was also growing. But it was just so hard to navigate both at the same time, plus push the marketing and the branding and awareness out. And so when meeting Brian and really kind of discovering what his value proposition was, what his skill set was, coming from an operational background in his retail coffee shops, he had that marketing background, he had that operational background, he had that just knack for just marketing and branding and what we call the brand ambassador, so to speak. And so, when we sat down and kind of talked through, hey, what are those skill sets? How do they match with what we're doing already? Then it was kind of that immediate division of labor. Okay, well, Brian, here's where you can help us out tremendously, or if you're interested, vice versa. And then, I can continue building out the broker relations, the vendor relations, the deal acquisition pipeline while Brian takes over this and that. And then we have our third partner, John, who's kind of more in the background. He's kind of like, we like to joke, he's kind of like our COO, our operating officer, handling some other the behind the scenes tasks. But I think that was kind of the initial division of labor, and it just kind of fit each of our skill sets very well, and we felt comfortable in each of those lanes. And that's really the path we've taken. Brian, I don't think I missed anything there. Would you agree?
Oh no. I mean, for me personally, it's all about the team success. And I am of the mindset that I'll do whatever you need me to do in order to whatever's going to move the needle. Right. So at the time, what was going to move the needle was they needed help with investor relations and they needed help with marketing and building relationships with people via the brand, which is something I was very familiar with. So it was a natural fit for me. But if Cody had came to me and said, "Hey, we really need help with acquisitions," and I already had a little bit of experience on the acquisition side, on the single family side, then I would have picked up that, that toolbox, that tool and put that in my tool belt as well. So I think when you're getting started in commercial real estate in particular, because it is a team sport, we like to tell people figure out what your superpower is, figure out which hat you want to wear. Because if you're going to buy these big buildings, we're buying 10, 20, $30 million buildings, right? These are not little 150, $200,000 houses. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it requires a team effort. And you really gotta be good at something and sort of specialize in something. Not that you can't, understand different parts of the business or at least be, competent at it, but you do have to have a superpower. You either have to be really good at going to find deals and understanding that those relationships are really important in order to get those deals, and underwriting and all the vendors and the capital market side, or you have to be really good at raising money. I mean, that's as simple as you can dumb down real estate. Is you either have deals or you have dollars.
Yep.
Of course, there's operations and there's asset management because after you close, that's really where the work begins. But to kind of simplify it, you have to be good at one or the two, one or the other. So I think for me, it was understanding that Cody was really good and had a natural knack and was really building momentum on the acquisition side. And then John was a little bit more time constrained. So even though he was good at relationships and stuff, they needed help with that brand building, that investor relations side of things. And that's where it just kind of came to be a more natural fit.
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I just wanted to stay on that because most people don't realize that business partnerships, it's a marriage. It's a contractual business financial marriage that, when done well, thrives. And but there's always hiccups that come in, and you alluded to team first, being there for the team, being there for the mission of the company. That's actually one of our core values: team first. And then another aspect of just valuing the relationship and respecting to each other in their roles. So I love it. All right. Oh, yeah, you get another thought there?
Well, that was going to be a great segue into the second part of your question. You asked about how do you manage those boundaries of not like putting the trust in your partner, but not micromanaging. And
Hmm.
I just wanted to highlight, like, this is where the vetting process becomes so critical when you're first dating, quote unquote, right? Is taking the time to really vet your partners and the people you're working with, and going through those exercises and assigning tasks and saying, hey, take take this responsibility, go do it, and then let's see if you can perform. And then can we communicate in a way that's effective for all parties? And that's huge. I mean, everything, just relationships in general, it all comes down to communication, right? Take your time and go through that. And I think that's what's really helped for us. And Brian, I think you mentioned this earlier, right? Where we just had a really great communication style that was a fit for all of us. It was very cohesive, very transparent, authentic. And so, we were able to establish that trust very early on in our relationship, to where if Brian was working on a task, he took the bulls by the horns. He went and gave it 110%. He knocked it out, came back and kept us in the loop. And then, he performed the task above and beyond what needed to. And hopefully, the same was reciprocated on our end, myself and John. And so after you've experienced that enough times, then there becomes just a genuine trust, where I know if Brian's working on something, I don't worry if he's going to be able to get it done or not. I know he's going to take care of it. And if he needs help, we're here to back him up, and vice versa. And, but it all comes down to that initial, dating phase where, you can't just jump head in first and wish for the best. You really need to take your time and make sure that cohesion is there from the beginning, or else, things can crumble really quick.